Over to you, Sharna.
Good morning, everyone who are now following this event in Bangladesh and around the world. Hope you are all well and doing safe. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you all and moderate this virtual event. I am Mahmouda Sultana Sharna, Project Assistant at Center for Peace and Justice, Brac University, and founding president of Women's Cafe, Jatiyo Kavi Kazi Nazrul Islam University, Trishal, Mymensingh. The Women Peace Cafe is a pioneering initiative under Empowered Women Peaceful Communities program by Center for Peace and Justice in support with UN Women. Well, this is a bilingual event. We will be speaking either in Bangla or in English. As no interpretation service is available, I will try to summarize any points made in Bangla in English for your convenience. There will also be sign language interpretation provided by Bodrun Nahat Koma. Today, we are not taking any questions or comments from the audience due to time constraints. However, if you have any queries or questions, please write directly to Tania Sharmin at UNWomen at the email address tania.sharmin at the rate of unwomen.org. Now, before we get started, I will just quickly take you through the purpose of today's event and what is going to happen today. I quote, for generations, women have served as peace educators both in their families and their societies. They have been instrumental in building bridges rather than walls. In quote. The statement was made by Kofi Annan in an open session held by the United Nations Security Council a week before the adoption of Resolution 1325. So, what's in the number 1325? Well, after decades of concerted advocacy and women's role in peacemaking became increasingly recognized. In October 2000, the United Nations Security Council took the historical step to acknowledge the essential role of women in securing and maintaining peace. As you may know, Bangladesh played a key role in this process. It was the then permanent representative of Bangladesh to the UN, Ambassador Anwarul Choudhury, whose speech in March 2000 to the UN Security Council that inspired this resolution. In 2020, we mark not only 20 years of the adoption of the Resolution 1325, but also 25 years since the Fourth World Conference on Women in Beijing in 1995, which resulted in the groundbreaking Beijing Declaration and platform for action over the years. Women's resistance, resilience, and achievements have come to the forefront in public debate, reaching unprecedented heights over the years. So 1325 stands for the millions of women who want to end violence, demand a seat at the head table, a say in their own security, and take part in the decision making of peace building. To commemorate its 20th anniversary, UNOMED Bangladesh, Center for Peace and Justice, Brac University, and Naripokkho have taken the opportunity to acknowledge Bangladesh's continued commitment to promoting the women in peace and security agenda, as well as engage a youth perspective on that. Today, we will be talking about peace, power, security, gender equality, inclusive, and cohesive society. We will have special messages from experts and interactive panel discussion with youth leaders and a closing remarks from a very special personality. The common thing about them all is that they all are actively contributing in the area which I have just mentioned, from community level to national and international level. So before going to the message station, let's enjoy a video on digital security of women, which is created by Raunak Jahan Moshi, Rahatara Rishti, and Rafia Islam Bhavna. Raunak Jahan Moshi is the founding president of Women Peace Cafe, Begum Rukia University, Rangpur. Rahatara Rishti is the founding secretary of the Women Peace Cafe, Begum Rukia University, Rangpur. Also, they both are project assistants at Center for Peace and Justice, Brac University. And Rafia Islam Bhavna is the member of Women Peace Cafe, Jatiyo Kavi Kazi Nazrul Islam University. So now let's watch their video.
living or death, is purely coincidental.
Hello, this is Rafia Islam Bhabna. I like to express my thoughts through Facebook. Nowadays, my homepage is flooded with the posts of sexual harassment, violence against women, and rape cases. After seeing all these vicious incidents, I couldn't keep steady and decided to break the silence. Most of the cases, women's attire are blamed for provoking rape incidents. I thrown a question through my post how a children attires can provoke anyone for rape or sexual harassment. After 1 hour, I was really very shocked while checking out the responses to my post. Most of them trying to prove me wrong and normalize the rape culture as if females born to be oppressed. The situation got worse when a commenter messaged me directly with the threat of rape because I have questioned their manners and education. His messages made me frightened, and I immediately knocked my friends for help. I explained everything to them. One of my friends suggested that I needed to be more careful about what I post in social media rather than blaming the harasser. It totally broke down my confidence. But rest of others motivated me to take action against him. They showed different measures to fight cybersecurity issues and shared emergency helplines for online harassment. It was a blessing for me. I was totally unaware about all this information. Finally, I decided to take action against the harasser.
মিউট দিয়ে রাখছি, ওখানে শুনছি।
One-third women of our country is victim of cyberbullying, where 70% of them are in between 15 to 25 years old. Only 26% of them share their experience, and rest of others keep silent to protect social dignity or fear. It's time for breaking the silence. Let's talk about online harassment. Each family should be the locus of ethics and morality. Take a stand against cyberbullying. Be the change you want to see.
Wow, this is such an awareness-raising content about cyberbullying, fake news, hate speech, and online misogyny. Hope you all have enjoyed it as I have enjoyed. So, today we will have a special message from such a dignitary who has been the voice of women's rights since 1983. The founder member of Naripokkho, Ms. Shirin Haq. Over to you, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I'm having difficulty turning on my video. Just a minute.
Okay, no problem, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. This is a really
First of all, good morning to everyone. And I'm so glad to see all these young women participating. And it is such a source of encouragement for people like us who frequently despair at the situation in Bangladesh. It's not peculiar to Bangladesh, but the situation here vis-a-vis safety of women and children. And although Bangladesh is not in that sense in a conflict situation, as 1325 is meant to address, however, there is recurring violence that goes on throughout the year, and violence that is carried out with impunity. And that creates a sense of deep insecurity among people on the whole, but in particular about the situation of women and children. And by children, I mean both boys and girls. We know that boys are not safe either. So on the one hand, we have this situation where violence is being carried out with impunity. And in recent times, we have seen in the media very brutalized forms of organized violence against, particularly against women. And this has caused, as you all know, a sense of deep insecurity among people, among families, among society at large. On the other hand, we have nearly 1 million people who have fled violence from our neighboring Myanmar and who have suffered unthinkable violence, including sexual violence, and who are now currently residing in camps in Cox's Bazar. So both these situations actually have specific consequences for women and for children. Women and children, both girls and boys, are not safe. They are not safe at home. They are not safe outside. They are not safe in public transport. They are not safe in their educational institutions, whether these are schools or madrasas or colleges. And Rohingya women have actually, there have been reports of sexual violence in the camps. So the very women who have suffered and who have suffered sexual violence in Myanmar at the hands of the Myanmar army are now actually again subjected to sexual violence. We don't know the exact number of incidents. Sexual violence is so stigmatized that reporting it, that there is always some kind of underreporting because it is so stigmatized and because of this culture of blaming the woman. So under these circumstances, we don't really know the incidents. And I'm sorry, there's somebody here. So in this situation, we don't really know actually the incidents of violence, sexual violence. But we know, what we know is that there is a culture of misogyny which drives that sexual violence, and it has now unfortunately converged with a culture of impunity, which now has accentuated the situation for women and girls and boys. In this situation, as you may have all noted, we have recently launched a campaign called Rage Against Rape, Dharshaner Birudhe Krodh, and this has been launched by an intergenerational alliance that has been formed recently between young women like yourselves and older women like myself, which is called Feminists Across Generations. Projonmantare Nari Badi Moitri. So you were mentioning, the video was mentioning, focusing on cyberbullying. And this is one of our demands. We have actually announced, rather declared 10 demands, which we think can help. I don't know if I can use the word eliminate, but at least can help to reduce violence and to also facilitate redress, because redress is extremely important. The fact that women, young women and men who are really angry are out on the streets right now is because they have lost confidence that the justice will be done. And for that reason, it is very important that actually measures are taken which will contribute in that direction. And we have tried to delineate what some of those measures are. These are all doables. These are not fancy dreams, as some people would like to label them. These are all doables, and all it needs is the political will to do that. The political will to recognize that violence against women and girls and boys, especially sexual violence, is of a proportion and of a and the prevalence that we can estimate, I suppose, or guesstimate, I don't know, is of such a level that actually we have said it should be declared as a national emergency. If we can think of the pandemic being declared, every day more women and girls suffer attacks and sexual violence than have died of the pandemic, of the COVID-19, So I think I'm taking too long. Anyway, because I'm in the middle of this movement right now, I'm concerned that we actually broaden our focus beyond the call for punishment to actually look at what is the culture that reproduces misogyny, that reproduces violence, and the culture that also provides impunity to perpetrators. We need to refocus, and we need to broaden our vision, and we need to start thinking about how we can dismantle this culture rather than focus on the punishment of a few perpetrators. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. This is such an inspiring message for us. Thank you. And now it is my distinct pleasure to invite Dr. Samia Haq, Research Fellow, Center for Peace and Justice, Brac University, to deliver her message. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sharna. Thank you to everybody, UN Women CPJ and Naripokkho, for organizing this very important and timely conversation. So in just picking up from what Shirin Appa has said, CPJ and UN Women did a research in 2018. I think a lot of you, our volunteers, are aware of that. That's when we first met Sharna and others. And it turns out that, although there is this very aggressive culture that we are witness to right now, right? I mean, there's a lot of this. There's also, and what was encouraging for us is that young women and also some young men do want to see a change in that. So we had gone into the field asking for young people's understanding of violent extremism and how it affects them and whether it affects them at all. And interestingly, what we got across the board is, like Srinapa said, we're not a conflict zone. Violent extremism, radicalization, these are stories that our young people may have heard of, 2 or 3 times removed. We did not get anybody who came to us and confessed that they're engaged in these activities. But very interestingly, what they said across the board is one of the biggest inhibitors to security is the freedom of movement and the freedom of speech. And this is what we found again and again. So when we ask young women, what do you mean by social cohesion? Do you feel that your community is a cohesive, peaceful one? They didn't talk about Jongibadi, or they didn't talk about, something that they talked about everyday harassment. They talked about catcalling. They talked about, but I need to take my BCS exam. I need to get on that bus and go for my coaching. I need to feel secure. I need to feel secure. So violence, so again, in the same breath, violence against women, children, sexual, gender-based violence, discrimination against women in arbitration processes, forced confinement of girls to the home, and early marriage were considered to be the main obstacles to social cohesion. Next, they did bring up the question of protection to religious and ethnic minority groups, that our young people are actually aware that this is also an inhibitor to social cohesion. And they brought up freedom of choice and expression and choice in personal life. We just heard about a culture that reproduces misogyny. We found very disheartening to find, because these things were, I think I am between Shirinapa and Shauna's generation. And when I was in university, almost 3 decades ago now, it was actually, we used to hear stories of, how you can't turn down a boy. You can't turn down a romantic advance, because then he will harass you and frame you negatively and say bad things about you. And I was actually disheartened to hear that women still experience these things. And some of them do turn around and give it back, but there are consequences for that. And some women are strong enough to withstand that pressure, and some women are not. So, there is this sense of safety and security. Women, as they go to the next level, as they step into new roles in society, that they aspire to. And in fact, women identified sexual harassment and lack of safety as a precursor to radicalization. And that's very interesting. I think there's an interesting gendered perspective in this, which is that aggressive men and insecure women who are forced to be either more docile or more aggressive than they want to be lead to conditions that can lead to violent extremism, or sort of bring in different kinds of ideologies and thought processes that are not really, that may pretend to give you freedom, but that don't actually end up giving women freedom, and the men to also be expressive and engaged participants of this gender process. So what do we do about it? Of course, Shirinapa has identified, has outlined movements, and this new movement against rape and impunity. It's very important, but we at UN Women, through UN Women and at Center for Peace and Justice, believe that this community work and the work for building community resilience has to continue. And to that end, we identified some important steps that the Peace Cafe is one such initiative that we have launched, and we are working closely with the Peace Cafe initiative. Hopefully, we can see more such initiatives come up in other campuses. I think that's very important. I'm in a campus myself. I'm a professor, I'm an educator. So we get to see firsthand how young people are dealing with some of these very difficult questions. But we also identified things like, changing the way we teach about gender. Again, at CPJ, we've done some textbook analysis and the gendered content in that, and there's work to be done. There's work to be done. So if we can, think about those issues at the community level, come up with supplementary education material that are more gender friendly, more friendly to equality and the empowerment of the genders, in positive ways. I think those are to be promoted. Engaging men in this conversation is very, very important. Engaging boys. We cannot have this conversation without boys. So many decades and such good work later, why does this culture perpetuate? Why does this culture perpetuate? So we have to find ways to bring them in. And in that, if we need to be creative, if we need to be ingenious, we must ask ourselves, how do we become creative? In the really nice video that you showed us, the very powerful video actually, I mean, we saw this boy harassing and we saw a boy, coming up with solutions and saying, don't be scared, right? Or helping. I think there was a Tanvir who was a friend. So we need to also find our friends. And at the community level, this has to happen, and this has to happen with boys early on. And of course, we must constantly, continue to raise awareness, continue to know, and within the community level, have these tools of cyberbullying, cyber harassment, what can we do about it, and must harness the power within ourselves, within our institutions, through our institutions, challenge our institutions so that we can harness the power to activate resources that we have and come up with new ones that are relevant, timely, and will speak to long-term solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your encouraging words and the direction we have found from your speech. This is really amazing. So, dear audience, and now I have the great honor to invite our next dignitary, Ms. Mia Sepo, UN Resident Coordinator in Bangladesh. We are very excited and overwhelmed to have the special message from her. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the organizers. Thanks to you and Women, Shoko and colleagues. Thanks to CPJ. Thanks to all of you. It's actually going to be difficult to come in after Shireen and Samia. I would have had a much easier time had I spoken before the two of you. It's humbling to speak after you, but let me share a few thoughts. I mean, first, just to say, I'm so happy to see the number of people that are joining this conversation. This shows that there is a great number of courageous, brave, female and men, young activists out there. I mean, you are the ones who frame these conversations, who drive these conversations, who inspire these conversations. And I'm so happy to see so many of you. There's been a lot of kind of talk about the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on women and girls. And this is all true. It's well documented, it's well researched. You and Women and others have brought that to very clear evidence focus. But what is important to recognize is that already before the pandemic, we were facing a situation of backlash against women's rights. We were also facing a situation of shrinking civil society and civic space around the world. So we already had that as a starting point. Then on top of that, we get the pandemic and we get the impact it's had on women's mobility. And I think it's a really important point that was made earlier, that the limitations on women's mobility, which has been further, strengthened because of COVID measures, has really had a very negative impact. And then, of course, we have what is now a very strong reporting in media of horrendous cases of violence and rape. And I think it's important, and maybe you can also have a bit of discussion around the media reporting, possible need for training to media on how these cases are reported against, making sure that the victims' rights are protected, making sure that the media reporting enhances a more victim-centered approach and moves away from the kind of sensitization and goriness of releasing details that doesn't necessarily belong in the media, because this in a sense can further harden attitudes and make it sound as if this is what we are expected to see every day we open the media. It's not, but how it's reporting also frames minds. So this is a context where I think it's important to recognize that the Women, Peace and Security National Action Plan is about national action. And we are seeing an environment where there's increased challenges to human security and lasting peace at community level in Bangladesh. And therefore, the work that you are all doing, the work that you are at the forefront of, and especially the work you are doing in your individual communities is so incredibly important. The Secretary General actually has referred to the shadow pandemic, meaning that the violence against women, the gender-based violence, is the second pandemic. And that is happening at the back of or in the shadow of COVID-19, but it is very much recognized as a key challenge. Now, what I think we need to learn from the young activists who participate in this discussion is what are the challenges that you face, be that because of age, be that because of gender, be that because of other barriers in society to actually engage. You don't necessarily have the political connections and networks as other established actors. How can we bring this together to make sure we create space and we give space to you and you have the courage to actually take that space and speak up? Let me just share with you, we're just back from a joint mission. Shoko was also part of it with me to the flood-affected districts in the north. And I was actually impressed by a discussion with the mayor of Rangpur, where young women and men spoke about their problems and where they spoke about child marriage, child labor, lack of sanitation, menstrual hygiene, violence and sexual harassment in a manner very openly in front of the mayor and his team, which is really encouraging. That courage, I was thinking back, reflecting when I was listening, when I was a student activist, would I have been comfortable speaking, for example, about menstrual hygiene in front of a group of men? I don't think so. So it's just to recognize that things are moving forward and you are bringing incredible courage to this conversation. Be that in leading anti-racism movement, be that in leading the climate emergency movement, be that in being part of Me Too, being that now in Rage Against Rape or the feminist across generations. You are really doing it. We need to hear from you how we can play our part to make sure we create the spaces, we give you the space, and we actually listen to your views. I think it's also important to hear more about how can we support intergenerational dialogue. I'm very impressed by both the Rage Against Rape as well as feminists across generations. Intergenerational dialogue is even more important now than it's been because COVID is putting generations against each other. Less so now when young people, especially in Europe and elsewhere, are recognizing that they are actually getting infected. But it has been a bit of an antagonizing conversation saying, oh, it's the old folks. It isn't. It's everybody. It's a community responsibility. And it shouldn't pitch different age groups against each other. Neither should the activism around gender equality. And I think the the intergenerational dialogue is absolutely key. Now, we obviously want to look at how can we better monitor the implementation of the National Action Plan, which I think is a really good example of good work from Bangladesh. We want to hear from you on that. My last point, I can see my time is up. My last point is to say, we have the 10 action points from 16 days of activism last year. We're soon going to have another 16 days of activism. We have the rage against rape and the feminists across generations. We have the call for legal change, excellent work being done, looking at gaps in legislation and how do we get a more victim-centered approach. We have the women and men who are out there protesting and on the barricades. We have the educators like Samia who are really looking through what are we teaching the next generation. And we have people like me and Shoko trying to support with our teams the work that we are doing. What I want to emphasize is that every single one of these efforts are important. It's not either or, it's and, it's together, it's unity, it's supporting each other. It's about finding the space where you are comfortable engaging and taking that space and being supported within that space. And I think it's also really important to emphasize that those spaces need to be inclusive of men and women and need to be inclusive of all ages. If this becomes a divisive agenda, it's going to be incredibly difficult to drive it through. We need to engage those who are not necessarily part of the conversation, bring them into the conversation, and most importantly, with whatever means you choose to engage, activism is key. Support each other. Let us know how we can better support. And thank you so much to each and every one of you for your bravery and for being engaged. Thank you. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your powerful message and encouraging words. So, dear audience, are you with us? According to the United Nations, today there are 1.8 billion people between the age of 10 to 24 in the world. Close to 90% of them live in the developing countries. They are contributing to the resilience of their community, proposing innovative solutions, driving social progress, and inspiring political change. So, now let's have a conversation with the representatives of these youth change makers. Let's welcome Kazi Mushfirat Mukarrima Kabir, Sharonika Chakma, Laki, Mashkatul Jinan, Rima Sultana Rimu, and Khadija Akhtar on board. Let us make a start then with our youth panel. Hello Mushfirat, why don't you kick off? Tell us a bit about yourself, your work, what does actually peace and security mean to you, and also tell us about your actions to advance the peace and security agenda at your community. Please.
Good morning. Thank you, Sharna, for giving me the floor. Myself, Kaji Mushfirat Mukarrima Kabir. I'm a student of Gender and Development Studies in Begum Rokeya University. I'm also a member of Women Peace Cafe, Begum Rokeya University. I'm a student change maker and assistant coordinator of Accounts and Finance Department of United Nations Youth and Student Association of Bangladesh. Here we work as volunteer. And let's moving to the question. It's really an amazing question for me. Thank you for that. For me, peace and security are essential. As essential to the society, food and water are the living organism. They are mandatory for maintaining growth. Peace and security are sought of by all individuals, organizations, and states, whether it would be personal security, financial security, or military security. Women have progressed far from dueling along in cars to living together in vast metropolises. I have taken some actions to actually to advance the peace and security agenda in my community. And these are like I have arranged a capacity development training with Women Peace Cafe, Begum Rokeya University, including gender training and leadership training. I have also provided an opportunity to my campus girls, 3 months defense, self-defense training actually. Personally, I have warned some parents in my area about the importance of girls' education and convince them to let their girls to continue their schooling. I have also made them aware of the about the consequences of early marriage and dowry system. Some youth people in my area actually used to play gamble and took drugs in my village, which is really threat for our society. And then when I noticed and I informed police, complained against them, and they were caught by police and punished. And as a result, now there is nothing happening like that situation in my area. I have also joined a youth team in my community, which actually work for humanity, and all of us are volunteer. From which we recently arranged a rally and human bond against the rape situation, against the rape and recent violence against women, and it was really successfully done. In future, I'm planning to do more effective actions in unique strategies to our people about the human rights, information rights, and laws against any kind of violence that's happening here. That's all. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing, Musfirat. So, Shaurika Chakma, what about you? What do you want to say about this? Tell us after introducing yourself.
Thank you so much, Apu. Good morning, good evening to all. Due to my webcam problem, I'm unable to join with you by video. Sorry for that. Thank you so much to UN Women Bangladesh, to the co-host organizations, to giving me the opportunity to participate in this important webinar meeting. I am very happy to see the greatest women leaders who are leading for the rights of women locally and globally. I'm a youth volunteer, indigenous women rights and human rights activist working in Society for Integrated Women's Progress and Bangladesh Indigenous Women's Network. In this organization, as youth activist, I'm working for fight violence against indigenous women, gender equality, doing awareness to protect and promote indigenous women rights in grassroots to international level. Um, Actually, peace and security means fearless and freedom of life, freedom of choice and voice. I believe if justice and human rights will enforce in our society, then peace and security will be secure. You know that I'm belonging to Chakma indigenous communities in GST. I would like to share on about our crisis and in our indigenous community, peace and security, is at risk in Bangladesh. We are struggling for land, socio-economic and political rights for long years. To build peace and security in CST, Bangladesh government also signed with in CST Accord with PCJSS 1997 to December, but this accord is still not implemented. During this COVID crisis, situation is like that 15 rapes and gang rape occurred against indigenous women, child, women, and women with disabilities. Land grabbing is going high, and during this COVID situation, military and private limited company occupied 800 acres land in our territories in CST. Indigenous women are facing crisis of food security, livelihood, and culture in CST, also in plainland. We know that Bangladesh ratified CEDAW in 2000, but the rights of our indigenous women have been largely ignored in the Bangladesh women's policy. The National Women's Development Policy in Bangladesh 2011 categorized indigenous women as backward and a small ethnic group. So indigenous women are not fully consulted when the policy was being formulated and amended. So as indigenous youth, I'm doing lobby and advocacy in national and international level to fully implement CST Accord and to include an indigenous women chapter in the national women development policy to end violence against indigenous women and girls. I protest, lobby, and advocate in grassroots to global level. Me and my organization make appeal to the Association of Lawyers so that no lawyers stand on behalf of the perpetrators. I encourage girls and women to take karate training for self-defense. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's great. Shaurika, you have identified your crisis at your community and then are working on it. That's really inspiring. So now let me go to Lucky. Hello, Lucky. Please introduce
Hello,
yourself
can you
and
hear me?
yeah, absolutely. Uh, Please define peace and security and tell us a bit about your actions to advance the peace and security agenda at your community. Please.
Thank you so much for giving me opportunity. This is Lucky from Rohingya refugee camp. I fled to Bangladesh in 2017 and now I am living in refugee camp, Cox's Bazar. I am a student of AUW, Asian University for Women, and I am studying PBE, Politics, Philosophy, and Economics. For me, peace and justice mean to me is that context of human development and explore their various meaning and beneficiary at the national and international levels. Peace is not simple, the absence of violent negative peace, but includes the structural condition that create positive peace in a society security from violence. Purposely, namely a state-focused definition of security and intercept of human-focused definition, I will like to tell about my action. To advance peace and security in my community are to address peace and security at a domestic level. Before moving to the language between international development assistance and security. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lucky. So now we will go to Rimu. Rimu, please tell us about yourself and what does peace and security mean to you and about your actions to advance the peace and security agenda at your community.
Um, hello everyone, good morning. Nice to meet you all. I am too much happy because I am able to see you like a dynamic persons in the world. Thank you, young women, and thank you, Naripokkho, and thank you, um, CPG for arranging like this program. I'm so much happy. Now I'm giving my introduce. This is Rima Sultana Rimo. I am young women leader for peace. JNWP. I mean Global Network Women Peace Builders Program, and I'm a student and I'm 18 years old. That's all about me. I'm trying to do something for my community. Uh, we are doing, we are, I take some literacy and numeracy class in host community and Rohingya community to, as if they are able to write their name and they are able to read some good and important informations. And we also performs theater in many institutions. It's a very good decisions, and we are able to aware uh, for this. And we also recently finished a campaign for prevent child marriage, and we also try to will try, take some radio broadcast which is based on UNSCR resolutions 1325 for creating awareness and what is the main rights of women and why how we are able to ensure peace and security in our society. You asked questions to me how Oh, what does I mean? Peace and security. Peace and security mean by me living without fear and moving freely. All kinds of genders get their rights without discriminations. We are youth, power of the nations. We, we have to take a lot of actions to prevent all kinds of problem in the world, in the society, in the country. So, my action is to advance peace and security is educate the peoples and creating awareness about people's rights and duties and changing people's bad attitudes, increasing the courage, values, morality of youngs, and advising people to use ICT, information and communication technology, and try to advising peoples to use social media. You know that also after some minutes we also before some minutes we also see a video how people's share fake news and um, bad bad comments in girls post. So we have to advising people to use like these apps or social media. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying so much and I'm happy to hear a lot of informations, and I'm trying to increase my confidence and try to do something for my society. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rimo. I am also really enjoying the talk, and it is really encouraging that so much work is going on by our youth leaders regarding peace and security agenda. So now, Mushfirat, I just wanted to ask you, in your experience, what does gender equality actually mean, and what should be done to promote gender equality? Sorry, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Uh, it's clear?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Sharna, for giving me the floor once again. For me, gender equality means that women and men, girls and boys, transgender, enjoy the same rights, access, and resources, opportunities, and the protections, including economic participation and decision making. To promote gender equality effectively and ensure the durability of peace building efforts, I think social service providers must understand how women and men jointly reproduce the gender norms. Well, here, from my experience, I think some steps should be taken to promote gender equality. This could be ensuring girls' education, eradicating child marriage and abuses, ensuring both partners that get involved in domestic responsibilities and teach children to assist in the little ways they can, providing the equal work value and wages to women as men enjoy and earn, and also ensuring active participation in decision making process, raising aspiration of girls and their parents, because it's need to give girls images and role models that they could expand their dreams. And I think encouraging women to come forward and speak out their sharing their thoughts and without any inhibitions. I think also it could be a little more if we emphasize on gender sensitive education and removing gender stereotypes from the textbooks, utilizing social media to promote, share, and post, acknowledge the benefits of gender equality. And finally, most of all, we all have to stand up against any kind of harassment, violence, or teasing whenever it's happened in workplace or streets, home or online space, please raise voice against it. I think that would be very effective to get gender equality in our society. That's all.
Wow, I totally agree with you, Mushfirat. So now, if you were the UN Secretary General, what would be a priority action point you would take up on the women, peace, and security agenda? What do you think?
Well, I think women's engagement in peace and security is essential to build sustainable peace. But progress toward gender equality remains slow. Without gender equality, I don't think so that women's peace and security can be established at all. And if I were an UN Secretary General, I will must take some actions to take up on the women peace and security agenda and make every country to abide by them. My priority actions points will be like ensuring fundamental education for every girl all over the world by which they can learn about their rights, and also providing equal access to political, social, economic institutions, including all public spheres. And also, it's need to be ensuring human rights of women and girls, creating better atmosphere in the workplace with safety and recognizing especially women's contribution in the society and economy. I think it also need to provide equal access to the women to take equal participation in the decision making process, and also it need to remove all the unusual abuse of power relationship, and we have to create opportunity for training, employment, developing in technology to increase women to increase and promote women empowerment actually, and to decrease women poverty from the world. Ensuring equal access to the natural resources, I think it would be very essential step for women upgrade, and ensuring reproductive health and nutrition for them, ensuring their uh, mm, social security mainly. And finally, it should be remove all kind of violence against women and girls, because I think and I believe that sustainable women peace and security, uh, if we want to bring that, there is really need to change the deep rooted social and cultural conditions that give rise to sexism, racism, hierarchies, and gender stereotypes. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mushfirat. I think you have a huge plan about that. So, Sharonika, are you there? Okay. Consider yourself the UN Secretary General. What would be a priority action point you would take up on the women, peace, and security agenda? Please share your thoughts.
Thank you, Apu. This question is very wonderful for me. I'm very happy to answering this question. Actually, if I were the UN Secretary General, I would advise the governments to all countries to be human. I will suggest the government to come forward to take action on about the women rights law, gender equality, equal education for all, women health rights, and end discrimination against all community women. On the other hand, in addition to ensure the rights of the all citizens of every country, I would confirm the issue of ensuring the rights of the indigenous people, small ethnic groups, religious minorities. Because I believe no one or no nation can be left behind in this world. That's all from myself. Thank you.
Oh, great, great. Thank you, Sharonika. So, what would you like to say about power of young people, Sharonika? And what action can young people take anywhere in the world to prevent conflict and promote a peaceful and inclusive society? What do you think about that?
Yeah, as a as a youth, I think youth power cannot be expressed in words. They have unlimited power of voice. I think all the youth, including the indigenous youth, have vitality. Youth can take any strong challenge, there have no doubt. Action about young people and youth. Today's youth are raising their voice on the street and doing protest against rapists in Bangladesh. And on the other hand, indigenous youth also participating in this protest. They are demanding to the security and justice for women and children. They have some tremendous idea, creativity, and knowledge to establish an equal, inclusive, positive society and peaceful world. Young people can inspire world people to be positive in order to promote a peaceful and inclusive society. If all communities like mainstream indigenous minorities or refugee youth get the right guidance and cooperation from all, they will be able to protect and promote their nation and community. I think Greta and Malala are the best inspiration and example for youth. So it's all. That's all. Thank you so much again.
Thank you. Very well said. Now let's go back to Lucky now. So, Lucky, what does gender equality mean to you? And what should be done to promote gender equality from your experience? What do you think?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing
What was
you.
your question, please?
Okay. What does gender equality mean to you and what should be done to promote gender equality?
Okay, well, thank you for giving me chance again to represent another question. For me, gender equality is when people have all gender has equal rights, responsibilities, and opportunities. Everyone is affected by gender and equality. Women, men, trans, and gender-diverse people, children, and families. It impacts people of all age and background. We need gender equality urgently, as it prevents violence against women and prevent violence against women and girls. Societies that value women, men as equal are suffered. And healthier. Gender equality is a human right. Everyone benefits from gender equality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now you say if you were the UN Secretary General, what would be a priority action point you would take up on the women's security and peace agenda? What you do?
Sorry, Apu.
Okay, if you were the UN Secretary General, for a moment, of course, what would be a priority action point you would take up on the peace and security agenda?
Well, if I were the UN Secretary General, women, peace and security agenda will be the top priorities as a whole, which I will pick up. That's all from me.
Okay, Lucky.
Thank you.
And I would also like to know from you that about youth power. Hello, Lucky. Are you there? Please tell us about what action can young people actually take anywhere in the world to prevent conflict and promote a peaceful and cohesive society. What do you think about that?
Hello, Apu, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's very fine.
Could you please repeat your question again?
Yeah, sure. What would you say about youth power and what action can actually young people can take to promote the peaceful and cohesive society and to prevent conflict in the society?
Okay. Well, the young power of young people is Commonwealth for the enter the world. The face of the young people are the focus and our past, our present, and our future. Our present now acumen in the society can match with the power, idealism, authority, and cares of the young people. The action that they can change the attitudes toward people, tradition, religion, and belief. However, there is a greater need today among the young people to relevant their understanding about their
Sorry, Lucky, you were muted. Yeah, please unmute yourself.
Hello.
Yes, I'm fine. Please go on.
To rebuild their understanding about their leadership capacity, to prevent confidence and promote a peaceful and inclusive society. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for sharing your view with us. So, Mashkatul, let's assume for a moment you are the UN Secretary General. What would be a priority action point you would take up on the women, peace, and security agenda?
Okay, thank you, Apu, for giving me this opportunity to talk about something Secretary General of the UN. Okay, if I were the Secretary General of the UN, I would launch an education program in exchange for food. The education that will teach them not word, but love can build a beautiful world. The education that will teach men, women are not just women, they are human. Peace will come to the world only if women, men, race, religion, and caste all work together. Only proper education can change the world. Malala Yousafzai says, one child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. So I think if I were the Secretary General of the UN, then I give importance on women education. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your opinion. So, how do you describe the power of young people and what action can young people take anywhere in the world to prevent conflict and promote a peaceful and inclusive society? What do you think about that?
Okay, thank you, Apu. Actually, I was eagerly waiting for this question because I am a young lady and young leader, youth leader. What would you like to say? Okay, then actually I am quoting some parts of the poem of poet Shukanta Bhattacharya to describe the power of youth. Okay, 18 বছর বয়সের নেই বয় পদাঘাতে চায় ভাঙতে পাথর বাড়া এ বয়সে কেউ মাথা নোয়াবার নয় 18 বছর বয়স জানে না কাদা okay the poet here by the age of 18 refers to the youth who can face all obstacles with courage whose fears can be overcome through their work they do not accept defeat and youth are expected to advance the current technology, education, politics, peace of the country. Young people can use modern technology to spread the message of peace around the world and make people aware through various content to spread love. Technology can be used for the welfare of the people, not to make firearms. Where there is need to stand for justice, they will stand. Equality problems, equality between man and woman is very important issue in the world now. The biggest step can be taken by the youth to eliminate this inequality. Young people can make the country and the nation understand the importance of gender equality through their various awareness activities such as drama, writing, discussion, education, and cultural program, etc. Thank you, Apu. I think this.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. So now let's ask Rimu. Rimu, what does actually gender equality mean to you? And what should be done to promote gender equality from your perspective?
Thank you so much for giving me chance again, Sharnapu. You are doing great. So, gender equality means to me all kinds of gender get their rights without discriminations, respects all peoples as a human being. Women and men should be given equal opportunity to express their opinion in any decision like political, economic, and social and family activities. I have experience. I see that most of the violence against in our family because boys or men earn money, but women do not earn money. That's why they think that women cannot do nothing. But this is not real. And I think that gender equality, like a cricket ball and bat, we cannot play the cricket without bat and ball. This like we are not able to develop our country without gender equality. So, my step is to promote gender equality. We have to ensure girls' education in the world and stopping all kinds of violent extremisms against women and child, and ensure meaningful participations in all kinds of activities like political, economic, and social and family. And we have to share opinion in all decisions because we are part of world. And we have to implement to laws and policy which is formulated by ensuring gender equality. And we need to add it in textbook about of gender equality as if young or child are able to what is the gender equality and how to improve it in our society. And we have to changing bad attitudes about of women. This is the social problem in the world, or in this is the most social problem for Bangladesh because Bangladesh most of the peoples are not educated. So this is my actions for promote gender equality. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Rimu. Then why don't you tell us briefly, if you were the UN Secretary General, what would be a priority action to you to take up on the women peace and security agenda? What do you think?
I'm so much happy for sharing my feelings. My aim is I want to be a Prime Minister of Bangladesh. This is my aim, and now I am sharing my feelings. If I were a UN Secretary General of UNM, at first I'll take actions, ensure educations. We are not able to ensure peace and security in the world or Bangladesh without educations. Education is backbone of our nations, and it's so much important for women because we know that a quote. Napoleon Bonaparte said that if you give me a good mother, I will give you a good nations. It's totally really I'm appreciate it, and our country, our UN secretary also appreciate it. I believe that, and I ensure security for women. So that's why we have to ensure good work environment and safe environment for girls or women. And we know that we are not safe in educational institution. It's so much sorrow for us. And I also invest to scale entrepreneurs for women, and that will help women to become financially empowered and bring peace and security. And we also prove that we can do everything, everywhere, every moment. Thank you so much, all of guys, for patiently hearing my speech. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Rimu. Thank you, our young feminist, our future Prime Minister. Thank you. And now, Khadija, what about you? আপনার সম্পর্কে আমাদের কিছু বলুন এবং শান্তি ও নিরাপত্তা বলতে আপনি আসলে কি বুঝেন? Khadija? Yes, Khadija, you have to unmute yourself. Khadija, unmute করে এরপরে আপনার প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিন। আপনাকে স্ক্রিনে দেখতে পাচ্ছি। Hello, Khadija. Okay, maybe you have... Yeah, Khadija. জি, আপনাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছি কিছুটা। আবার আনমিউট করতে হবে। I think she is having technical difficulty. Hello, Khadija. Are you with us?
I think she is not here.
Okay. Okay then. Yes, she's here. I can see her. Khadija, you would like to tell us about yourself? Yes, you have to unmute yourself. We can see you. আপনাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি খাদিজা, আপনি একটু আনমিউট করুন আপনাকে। Yes. Yeah, here we are.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম, আমি খাদিজা আক্তার, আমি প্রতিবন্ধী সরি, ধন্যবাদ আপু আপনাকে আজকের এই সুন্দর অনুষ্ঠান আয়োজনের মাধ্যমে আমাকে কিছু বক্তব্য বলার জন্য সুযোগ করে দেওয়ার জন্য আপনাকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ। আমি খাদিজা আক্তার, আমি প্রতিবন্ধী নারী উন্নয়ন ফাউন্ডেশন WDDF এর থেকে বলছি। আমি নির্বাহী সদস্য DDF এর। আমি অনার্স 4 ইয়ারে পড়ছি সর্দার সুরুজ্জামান মহিলা কলেজ থেকে। আপু আপনি আমাকে প্রশ্ন করেছেন
শান্তি ও নিরাপত্তা বলতে আপনি কি বুঝেন এবং শান্তি ও নিরাপত্তার এজেন্ডাগুলোকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে যেতে আপনি আসলে কি কি পদক্ষেপ নিচ্ছেন?
আমি বলবো শান্তি ও নিরাপত্তার অর্থ হচ্ছে কোনো মানুষ উৎকণ্ঠ বা উদ্বেগের মধ্যে না থেকে নিশ্চিত তার পছন্দ অনুযায়ী জীবনযাপন করতে পারবে। তাকে কখনো কোনো নির্যাতন ও সহিংসতা সহ্য করতে হবে না। রাষ্ট্র তার সম্পদ ও নিরাপত্তা রাখতে উদ্যোগ নেবে। আমি বিভিন্ন কার্যক্রমের মাধ্যমে চেষ্টা করব আমার কমিউনিটিতে শান্তি ও নিরাপত্তা।
খাদিজা, আপনাকে আনমিউট করতে হবে, আপনি আবার মিউট হয়ে গেছেন। জি, আপনাকে আনমিউট করতে হবে, আমরা আপনাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছি না খাদিজা। জি, ইয়া, প্লিজ গো।
হ্যালো,
জি, এখন শুনতে পাচ্ছি, আপনি আপনার কথা চালিয়ে যান।
যেখান থেকে অফ হয়ে গেছিল সেখান থেকে শুরু করবো আবার?
জি জি, আপনি আসলে শান্তি ও নিরাপত্তার এজেন্ডাগুলোকে এগিয়ে নিয়ে যেতে আসলে কি করছেন?
যেমন হচ্ছে স্থানীয় সমস্যা স্থানীয়ভাবে সমাধান, নারী পুরুষ সমতা বিষয়ক সচেতনতা মূল্যায়ন প্রচার, তারপর হলো প্রতিবন্ধী মানুষ বিশেষত প্রতিবন্ধী নারী ও মেয়ে শিশুদের মূল্যায়ন উঠান বৈঠন পালন করা, তারপর হচ্ছে স্থানীয় সমস্যা এলাকার শিক্ষা প্রতিষ্ঠান ছাত্রছাত্রীদের মাধ্যমে মূল্যায়ন শিক্ষার প্রচার, এলাকার সকলকে নিয়ে বিশেষত ছোট বড় অনুষ্ঠান আয়োজনের মাধ্যমে প্রচার। ধন্যবাদ আপু।
Okay, ধন্যবাদ আপনাকে। Thank you. Yes, I agree with you, Khadija. Peace and security is the state or condition when you can live your life freely and rightfully without any external fear and fear like oppression, violence, etc. And I really appreciate your actions, for example, raising awareness about gender equality, initiative for women and children with disabilities. That's commendable. Thank you. Thank you very much. And what do you think about gender equality? আপনি আসলে লিঙ্গভিত্তিক সমতা বলতে কি বুঝেন, এবং আসলে লিঙ্গভিত্তিক সমতা সমতা নিয়ে একটি সমাজ গঠন করতে চাইলে আসলে কি কি অ্যাকশন আমরা নিতে পারি বলে আপনি মনে করেন?
ধন্যবাদ আপু। জাতিসংঘের মহাসচিব হিসেবে নারী ও শান্তি
খাদিজা, জি, আপনাকে আমরা শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, আপনি কি আরেকবার রিপিট করবেন? হয়তো নেটওয়ার্কের কোনো ইস্যু হচ্ছে। জি জি, এখন শুনতে পাচ্ছি
আপু। ফোন আসছিল সেজন্য অফ হয়ে যাচ্ছে।
নো প্রবলেম, প্লিজ গো হেড।
জি, 2 নাম্বার, প্রতিবন্ধী ব্যক্তিদের অধিকার বিষয়ে সনদ 13, 15 এবং 16 নং অনুচ্ছেদের স্বাক্ষর ও অনুস্বাক্ষরকারী দেশগুলোকে প্রতিবন্ধী ব্যক্তিদের নিরাপত্তা নিশ্চিত করতে এভয় বিচার পাওয়ার অধিকার। 3, প্রতিবন্ধী ব্যক্তিদের শিক্ষা, বাসস্থান সহ মৌলিক শিক্ষা, বাসস্থান সহ অধিকার, বিশেষ করে নারী ও মেয়ে শিশুদের মৌলিক অধিকার নিশ্চিত করতে রাষ্ট্রকে আহ্বান জানাবো। করব এর জন্য আঞ্চলিক পর্যায়ে আঞ্চলিক টিম গঠন করব।
ওকে,
থ্যাংক ইউ আপু।
Thank you very much. You think that girls and women with disability also should be treated equally, and there should be some steps which reflect positive discrimination theory. You have prioritized on the community level awareness section creating for achieving gender equality. We have found another different perspective from you, so thank you. So now we are almost in the end of our today's panel discussion, I think. So now we will ask our youth panelists for a last final closing message. So please, Musfirat, what would be your closing message? Musfirat, you have to unmute yourself first. Okay, maybe she's having any network issue. So let's go to Musfirat. Are you there? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, my last message would be for the world that stop raping women, stop oppressing women.
Okay. Actually, we cannot hear you, Mushfirat. Maybe there is some technical difficulties here. So we go back to Sharnika. Sharnika, what would be your closing message? Then we'll get back to you, Mushfirat, after that. Sharnika.
Thank you so much. Before my closing message, before my leave from this meeting, I would like to thank you so much again to UN Women who host organizations to including me this significant webinar. It is a big achievement for me as a marginal indigenous youth. By this meeting, I would include one thing that that should include before, but now I'm telling about this. Me and my organization also lobbying and advocating to preserve 5 seats for indigenous women in the parliament. Within 50 preserved seats for women in our parliament, only one indigenous woman actually representing here there. So I think what is not sufficient for us. Yeah, we are lobbying for this. So finally, I would like to message from me, discrimination can never make a nation proud. As indigenous youth, I believe positive young generation will come forward and work together to make the world peaceful and secure for all genders, race, and color, so on. So thank you so much again. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your closing message. And Mushfirat, I think you are back with good network, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Rana.
So now, after all this conversation today, if audience want to walk away with one closing message from you, what would be that message for you to give them? What would be your
Okay,
message?
thank you. For the youth and for the world, my last message would be like, stop raping women, oppressing women. Don't think they're weak. They're actually strong enough, and they're able, capable as well as men. And let's make the whole world free from all kind of conflict, war, and violence by establishing gender equality and ensuring peace and security of women. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Lucky, what about you? Lucky, are you there? Okay, then we will get back to you later. So, Mashkatul, what would be your closing message?
Okay, thank you. Actually, I want to say to the world that women and girls represent half of the world's population. So it is never possible to bring peace to the world without women. You alone can never make the world beautiful. To make the world beautiful, we all have to work together. And I think youth will play the most important role to bring peace in this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mashkatul. Now, Rimu, what would be your closing message to all? You have to unmute yourself first. Yeah, go
Thank you
on.
so much. Give me again chance. I'm happy to my
Okay.
message shared by the resolution of 1325 today. This we are anniversary both of anniversary to happy anniversary for women peace and security. My last message from you from youth for men and boy all of unity is strength. If we do work unitedly, we will win and we will succeed. We are able to solving all kinds of problems. We are able to prove that we are youth, we are do best. Youth are like a horse.
Oh,
Youth have a horsepower. So we are youth, we have the capability to do everything and think positive, do positive, say positive. Everything is going positive. Thank you so much.
wow, that's a very good message. I would say thank you, Rimu. And now let's we go back to Khadija. Khadija, আপনার বার্তাটি ঠিক কি হবে? প্রথমে আনমিউট করতে হবে আপনাকে। জি। Khadija, please unmute yourself at first and then please share your message with us. Okay. Yes. Please unmute yourself. Is Lucky there? Lucky back. Okay. I think there is some issue, so let's go back to our next. Okay, dear audience, are you interested to know what message I have got from today's discussion? Well, the message I have got from our panelists today is that don't wait for tomorrow, don't wait for experience, for finishing studies, settling down, and then making the decision for doing something for your true calling, for your community, for your country, for peace building, for making a decision about your society, country, or world. Just start now. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter wherever you are. What matters is start now and take action. If these six amazing young women can, who are there with us today, we all can. Yes. Now, it is my immense pleasure and privilege to end my part giving the floor to someone who has a vast amount of experience of advocating for gender equality and women's rights. I'd like to request Ms. Shoko Ishikawa, country representative for UN Women in Bangladesh, for her closing remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And before I speak, I just see that Lucky has been able to connect. So maybe we'll give Lucky one minute to say her final remarks.
Yeah,
She's taken
sure.
all of the trouble to connect again. So let's go to Lucky.
Yes. Yes, Lucky, we're happy to have you there again, back. So, Lucky, what would be your closing message to all, to us? Please unmute yourself. Yeah. I think we have lost her again. Yes, maybe we have lost her again.
Yeah, okay. So I'll keep on looking. If she pops up, I could stop and she could come in again. So first of all, Shorna, thank you so much. You're doing a fantastic job facilitating this panel. I'm thoroughly impressed by your ability to maneuver all of these questions and keep everybody on time. So thank you so much. And thank you also to Brac University, CPJ and Naripokkho for this partnership in bringing these wonderful young activists together for this conversation today. I'm getting goosebumps just from the beginning, from seeing that video to listening to everybody. I think it's been a hard, I think, two weeks with the rape-related media coverage, the protests. It's, I know, particularly Shireen, I think it's been really, really quite mentally challenging for the past few weeks, but I am really energized to have been part of this conversation today and listen to our young activists. We were here today to mark the 20 years from the adoption of the Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, which was really a pivotal moment in history that led to us shifting the way that we think about women's role in peace processes and reconstruction, not looking at women just as a victim of war, victim of insecurity, but also as an agent of change and as a leader in the community. And I think these young women who have spoken today very much show that. Over the past 2 decades, women's resilience, resistance, achievements have come to the forefront in public debates thanks to this Security Council resolution that has created us a platform. And we are reaching unprecedented heights over the years, including Me Too movement, the climate movement, and so on. This moment, the 20th anniversary, lends itself to showcasing and building an even more compelling narrative of the power that women, particularly young women, have and can wield. So today's theme was women, peace, power, and I think a number of the panelists mentioned women are powerful. We're not weak. Just yesterday, I was in a conversation and somebody said, women being the weaker sex, and it really offended me. Women have the power. Given the opportunity, given the environment, we are all able to grasp that opportunity and contribute to sustainable development and the enjoyment of everybody's human rights. We have to make sure that women's participation and inclusion in peace conversations, in community development is automatic, it's sustained and meaningful process. This requires transformative change in our society and commitments of all generations to take on the torch of advancing the progress towards gender equality. This year, it's been very challenging because of this COVID-19 pandemic. And it's an experience for, I think, all of us, the first time that we face such a pandemic. It's resulted in even more restrictions of mobility, closing of workspaces, education opportunities, and it's been having devastating impact on the mental and physical health. And we're also seeing a rise of violence against women. And today we listened to the voices of youth who, despite these adversities, are driving the gender equality agenda in their communities. The 6 young women panelists that we heard from come from all diverse backgrounds. Some of them are engaged in activism based out of their universities. We had our 2 leaders from the Women Peace Cafes that talked about their initiatives of leading and promoting peace and social cohesion in their communities, fighting drugs and gambling in their villages, rallying against rape and sexual violence. We also heard about how they're harnessing media and technology to promote the message of peace. We heard from our leader from the Chittagong Hill Tracts about the concerning rise in rapes, land grabbing, insecurity in terms of food, but also physical insecurity that is rising, and the COVID-19 pandemic that is exacerbating this, but she has the resolve to charge forward, to fight for women's political space and to end discrimination against all these adversities. We also heard from 2 young leaders from the Cox's Bazar community, one from the host community, one from the refugee community, and I'm really pleased that we had this diversity today. I think they've been impacted by the one incident, which is the influx of the refugees into Cox's Bazar, but in their own spaces, they are trying to make a difference, fighting gender-based violence, promoting girls' education and empowerment despite all of the difficulties. And Khadija also, who was able to eventually join, I'm really delighted that you were with us today to talk about the added challenges that disabled women and girls have. The video in the beginning that was also produced by the young women, I think it's very impactful, and I think we need to multiply the voices of the challenges in the cyberspace and how girls are standing up to fight misogyny, fake news, and try and educate each other about how we can protect ourselves in that space. I'm really deeply impressed and humbled by all of your initiatives and activism. I think no matter where you're coming from, the resounding message was empower the girls, educate the girls, make sure that they have the safety and security to be able to thrive and do more of what they are trying to do in their adverse conditions. So it's been mentioned that Bangladesh, this women, peace and security agenda, because Bangladesh doesn't really have an open conflict, when we went around consulting people on the National Action Plan for Women, Peace and Security, it was indeed challenging because peace in a sense of peacekeeping and so on is something that's happening abroad. But from today's conversation, it's very clear that the agenda of women, peace and security is relevant to Bangladesh in all of its corner. And through your leadership and perseverance, you are driving the messages of peace in your community. So we need really not look so far for inspiration on how to further fight the insecurity. We have the recent protest against rape, sexual violence that is taking place, which has been led by young women with a very strong conviction to rise up against the cruelty and injustice and calling for a change in the culture. I think, as Mia had also said, in each of our own spheres of influence, we can make a difference. And if each and every one of us do our best, the collective power would be quite significant. As the UN Secretary General said, gender inequality harms everyone because it prevents us from benefiting from the intelligence and experience of all of humanity. So we have to fight together gender inequality, keep it our top priorities, and make sure to build a better and peaceful society together. So once again, thank you to everybody who is with us, still staying with us, although we've gone over time. And I hope that we could continue these conversations with our young activists. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Ms. Ishoko Ishikawa. And we are going to end here today, but we'll be back with more power and yes, more women power. So let's end up here. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you.
Thank you.